So we're going to use an alternative to potato. We're going to use celeriac. I love the flavour of celeriac. It's very aromatic. So for the young ones, it might get a little bit of getting used to. So for that reason, I'm going to make chips, because all kids love chips. But it is a great, it's got a lot less carbohydrates than potato. We're also going to make crisps out of it, because we might as well give them a treat. If you're going to make some chips or mash, it makes great mash as well. We'll make a few crisps as well, because it really does make good crisps. So I've peeled my celeriac. Now I'm going to trim it a little bit. I'm going to cut it all the way down one side. And the reason I do that is so I've got a flat surface, so it's steady on the board and it's not wobbling about, and the chances are I'm not going to cut myself. Cut it into nice, about 1 inch rounds. We'll turn those into chips in a minute. So I've got this square here, and I'm just going to take the edges off. So I'm going to hold the celeriac like that and just trim a little piece off like that, and then turn it, trim a little bit more off, turn it, trim a little bit more off, turn it, like that. And it just means that all your crisps are going to be the same size. Okay, so we're going to slice that really thin, and then we'll fry those, and they'll crispen up nicely. All the trimmings save, and you make your mash, and you make the mash really easily. Just chop it up rough, doesn't have to be too small. Bring it to the boil or to the simmer, cook it for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes till it's soft. Strain it off, back on the heat to dry it out a little bit, just like you would with potato, and then mash it, and then lashings of butter and salt and pepper and nutmeg. If you wanted cheesy mash, put cheese in it. I like to use a really full fat cream cheese and butter for mine. And then I talked about spring onions earlier. Turn it into a celeriac champ, because I'm Irish blood in me, by adding some spring onions in there as well. Really tasty. That's ready for my crisps. So my chips, I'm just going to, don't want them too thin, but I don't want them too fat either, because I'd like them, by the time they get nice and brown on the outside, and they will absorb some of the fat that we're frying in, but that's a good thing, because we need the fat. If you could try and get them similar sizes. So it's not completely necessary to get them exactly the same size when you cut the chips, but if you get them quite similar, it helps, because they'll all cook at the same time. And then we've got our oil in the pan here. Hopefully it's up to about 160, 170 degrees. And we're just going to go in with our chips, and just at this point, don't just throw them all in. Obviously, health and safety, you've got to make sure that the oil doesn't come up and go over the pan. That would be a nightmare. So I'm just kind of going to drop them in one at a time. While my celeriac chips are frying, I'm going to do my crisps. Now, if you've got a mandolin that you put the guard on, and you can slice these nice and thin. Or if you've got one of those lovely food processors with the blades in that whiz down, that will be very quick for you. You want them as thin as you can possibly get, so they get nice and crispy. I haven't got either of those with me today, so I'm going to use my knife. So I'm going to slice them here as thin as I can possibly get them. Don't worry if they're not all whole. The kids will absolutely love them. I'm just keeping an eye on my chips. I wouldn't like to burn them. I'm ready with a little bit of kitchen paper for when they're done. Take them off. Give them a little stir so they get nice and even. The smell coming from the pan is lovely. Just lift one out very quickly with your fingers. You can just feel, make sure it's cooked in the middle, and that's nice and tender in the middle, crispy on the outside. And then what I'm going to do, I've got a bit of kitchen paper here, and lift them out onto the kitchen paper like that. And I'm going to season them, instead of salt, I'm going to season them with a nice pinch of curry powder, which just goes so nicely with celeriac. And then what I do with that is a nice dollop of mayonnaise. You can actually put the curry powder in the mayonnaise if you wanted to make a nice curried mayonnaise, but there, dip those in, absolutely delicious. So there, we're going to try our crisps are going to go in now. And again, the pan's on the heat, and I'm going to move it to the side and move it off the heat just while I add the little crisps, because I don't want the fat to boil over. And then again, we just drop those in. If you're not confident about deep frying, you can do both of these in the oven. The chips, you could do them like as if you're roasting potatoes, but I would cut them a little bit bigger and roast them that way, and then finish them with some curry, a little bit of curry powder, maybe a knob of butter right at the end, just to really make them nice and rich. And the crisps, once they're sliced, brush them both sides with oil, and you could do them on either on a tray that's covered with tin foil, or baking parchment paper greased up, so that the oil actually stays with them while they're on there, and eventually they'll turn brown in an oven at about 220, so quite a hot oven. You can see that the bubbles have slowed down, almost stopped in fact, and that's because nearly all of the water has come out of the celeriac, and that's what we want. There's a few that are looking golden, so what I'm going to do is those ones I'm going to pluck out, and then as they cool they should crispen up. And if your diet allows, there's other vegetables. Beetroot makes fantastic crisps, parsnips as well, but the carb's a little bit higher, so check your diet. But if it suits you, really, really good ideas. The kids will love it. And there you go. Celeriac chips and crisps. Enjoy.